and welcome to the April edition of the Darlo Till I Die podcast. And Darlington drew the curtain on their league campaign with a 3-1 home victory against Needham Market to finish the season in 11th place. And here to dissect the season that just was, I have two guests today making their second appearance on this podcast. So it's firstly a warm welcome to Andy Hodgson.
Hi Adam, thanks for having me back on.
And I'll extend that welcome to David Steele. Hi David.
Hi Adam, great to be back. Thank you.
Not a problem. So, we'll start then with the Needham Market game. So it was a 3-1 win, a goal from Will Hatfield and a double from Cedric Main. I guess it was the quintessential dead rubber because we were going to finish 11th regardless of the result. And Needham, I think, were relegated a week or two ago. Sometimes when there's nothing to play for, you can accuse the players of being on the beach. And maybe you could accuse Darlo of that, given the current state of the pitch in the last few weeks. But I'll come to you then, Andy. Was it a bit of an end-of-season feel then? How did you view the game?
It was an end-of-season feel game, really. Market Needham already relegated. Obviously, we can't finish any higher than 11th. But it was, as you'd expect. I mean, we went 2-0 up quite early on. They had a player sent off, and you're probably thinking, we're going to score 4 or 5 here. That didn't quite turn out. So, fair play to Needham Market for keeping at it. Sorry. But it was a comfortable win, and nice to obviously end the season with a victory.
I don't think it's a game that's going to live long in the memory of Darlo fans. But it was 3 points. It was nice to end the season with a win. I was thinking driving home, actually, it was the anti-last season, wasn't it? Anti-game of last season where everything was riding on it and the jeopardy and the nerves going into it were huge. So it was just nice to stand in the sunshine yesterday, watch a game of football, no pressure. You're right, Andy, fair play to Needham Market. They were decent, actually. I thought they had some good players. I think we should have kept a clean sheet. I think Steve would say the same, wouldn't he? I think we should have 4 or 5-0 probably wouldn't have been an unfair result, but we've won. People went home with a smile on their faces, and we've been thinking about next season for a few weeks now, haven't we? And I think that probably yesterday reflected that, I guess.
Yeah. So, look, I did make a little reference there to the pitch, and we actually discussed it on last month's pod as well with Stu and Scully. It seems to still be a very big issue, and has been a major talking point amongst the fan base, hasn't it? I believe the club are going to co-purchase an irrigation system in the close season, which might help rectify some of those problems. I do want to say I actually contacted the rugby club through their official website just to try and get their point of view on the current state of the playing surface. So I sent a message to their treasurer and secretary, who are listed as Ali Bell and Andy Robinson, respectively. And I'm yet to receive a response.
Okay.
Surprise. Yeah, probably not holding my breath on getting anything back, which, kind of maybe sums it up a bit with the relationship with the rugby club. But David, what's your take on the pitch?
Well, Nathan, who I like a lot, I'm an amateur gardener, and I've traded tips with Nathan over the years on Twitter. He's still there. I know there's been a bit of rumours that he's not there, but he's still definitely there. And from what I hear and from what I can see, I think 3 things. I think you're right, the irrigation system in the close season will go some. I think we need a damn good pour down on a few of them, and it maybe needs a little bit less use. I think possibly there's maybe been a bit more use, teams training on it than playing on it this season. If you think of our pitch, I can remember only a couple of years ago regularly tweeting pictures of the pitch, and it looked immaculate online and in the flesh. He's doing the same work that he's done previously, so it's not him. So it has to be other factors, and I think those 3 things combined, I think a little bit less use, a bit of rain, and this irrigation system, and I think it'll be fine next season. But I didn't go I had to leave full time yesterday. I couldn't hang around, and I do know people who said they went on the pitch that it wasn't great, and you can see that. But I think everyone knows that, So hopefully, come August, it'll be a carpet again, and it'll be a distant memory, this season's pitch.
Yeah, just to add, I went on the pitch at the end when I was meant to, by the way, just to point that out. And yeah, it's just very, very dry. I've been to go and watch my sons play football this morning which is again a really well looked after pitch, and it's just bone dry. We just need some rain, and I've no doubt next season the pitch will be a lot better next year with the plans that the club have got in place.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, I'm not sure as to the cost of the irrigation system. Again, there's been a fair bit of discourse as to whether the club should actually be part funding it at all, which I kind of get that. But whatever happens, then hopefully it does solve that problem. So, look, I guess if we go back 12 months, we were all pretty euphoric, weren't we, to finish, was it 16th in the table on 56 points, given that we'd looked dead and buried for most of that season, pulling off the great escape, of course, under Stephen Terry. So fast forward to now, and it's 69 points, 11th spot. I think we're about eight points off that 7th place, weren't we? It's a bit of a different feeling this time, David, isn't it? I mean, when you were on the podcast in November, you actually said that a bit of stabilisation wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for the club, and that's kind of how it's transpired, I guess.
Yeah, football's all about momentum, isn't it? And the momentum at the back end of last season was very different to the momentum we've just had in recent weeks. And you're right, there was euphoria at finishing 16th, and there seems to be, in some quarters of the fan base, a bit of kind of curly lip about finishing 11th. I would say, I said in pre-season, both as a fan and as the FCSG director, this season, if we weren't going to get promoted or finish in the playoff spots, I wanted us to finish 10th or 11th with a good, solid, consistent, no drama season, a consolidation season, give Stephen Terry a full year to look at everything. Because, when they came in January, it was madness, wasn't it? And that January to April period wasn't reality. It was just out of the ordinary stuff. They needed a summer and a year, I think, to look at everything. I think they've got a good spine. My hope is that we can keep that spine and we can add to it. Obviously, I guess we'll come to that in the chat. But I'm perfectly happy with this season. I didn't think we would go up. I think that was beyond us. So for me, 10th, 11th, I think it's exactly what I wanted Stephen Terry to do. I'm optimistic for next season. I think we're in a far more solid, structured place on and off the pitch now than we were 12, 18 months ago. And that's important. I always look at the long-term sustainability of this thing. I don't look at the short-term. So I think it was job done for me, really, in some respects.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what David says, really. I think 11th, the way we played the season, I think that's a fair reflection of how we've performed this season. Solid enough base of a side. Yeah, there's probably areas that we need to look to improve on, which we'll discuss later. But interestingly, points-wise, it's our best points since the 2016-17 season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there will be fans within our fan group who obviously would have thought the way we finished last season, we'd somehow have another barnstorming, finish start to this season. But unfortunately, that's not football, is it? But yeah, perfectly happy. I think me and David had a conversation in the car once, didn't we, David, saying this season felt strange because there was no drama or anything, and it's just been a very kind of sort of steady, calm season, really. And yeah, next season's going to be interesting, isn't it? Now Stephen Terry had a good year and 18 months to have a look at things. So, yeah, perfectly happy finishing where we have this season.
Sure. I mean, David, just to be devil's advocate, I guess, then the club have had some quite major injury problems throughout the course of this season. I'm thinking maybe more at the start of the season when we were Tom Platt and Cedric Main for quite a long period of time. I think Elliot Forbes has been missing as well. I mean, I'm not privy to the other 23 clubs in the National League North and the sort of injuries they've had. But do you think maybe if we'd had a little bit more luck there with injuries, we might have got close to that 7th place?
Yeah, you're dead right. It's funny the start of the season is because we had those injuries, and I think we were unbeaten for 7 or 8 games after the first stuttery 2 or 3. But you mentioned Elliot Forbes there, and I would pin, if we were going to finish 6th or 7th, I think there's a couple of reasons as to why we didn't, but I think one of them would be we came off a really good February, and at the start of March, we'd just beaten Hereford, we'd just beaten Radcliffe, and then we lost Platt. We lost Platt and Forbes in that kind of 2-week period, and then we the next 4 games we didn't win. We lost and drew 3, I think. And I think Forbes has been an excellent signing, by the way. And him and Platt and Lees have been that kind of pivot of the back 4 and the midfield. When we've had those 3 in place, we've been really, really solid. And to lose those 2 in a fortnight, I think that's one of the main differences between 7th, 8th, and 10th and 11th in the last few weeks. So I think injuries, every club has them. You're right. I think we've had some key ones at some terrible time. I remember on the pod, and in November, we were talking about Jack Maskell playing up on his own because Nella and Main had been out for ages, and that didn't help Jack. It didn't help the club. And you look back at that and think, could other results have gone our way if we'd had those players? So it's never an excuse because, as you say, every club has them. But I think we've missed some key players at some key times, and that definitely hasn't helped.
Yeah, definitely. Andy, I went to the trouble of researching how we've got on in the National League North since I think it's coming up to 10 years now, isn't it? So these are our final positions. I didn't include the 2 seasons that were affected by COVID, but we go back to 2016. We have finished 5th. Less said about Seatgate, the better, I think, on that one. So 5th, 12th, 16th, 13th, 10th, 16th, and now 11th, and I think that gives us an average of about 11th or 12th or something. Do you think sometimes we just kind of underestimate just how tough a league this is?
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, if you look at the playoff spots this year, I think 74 points would have got you in the playoffs last year, and this year it wouldn't have. And obviously teams like Hereford, who have been in the playoff positions all season, to drop out on the last game of the season, it just shows how competitive it is. You have 3 teams obviously going for the league. It's not an easy league. I think David said earlier in the podcast, Needham Market, I always do that. Team who are always team who are already relegated, and they weren't a bad side. And I've seen most of the home games this season, and I've probably seen us play each of the sides at least once. And even Farsley were made a good fist of it when we played them a few weeks ago. It's not an easy league, and it's unfortunately all going to get more difficult next season with Macclesfield joining the party and Fyle dropping down from the division above, and God knows who else from the south with the way the relegation places are going to. But it's a tough league. It's a tough league, and you need a fit squad. You need funds. It's not easy.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, David, for me, I think it was that 9 games in March where it was kind of make or break, wasn't it? And then it was the Brackley home game, and we should congratulate Brackley, of course, who have finished the season as champions, include Justin Donower. I've always liked him. Always thought he's a great player, Justin. So part of Brackley's squad now. So well done to him and well done to Brackley. But that Brackley home game, was it 2-0 and looking good?
Yeah.
And then that was kind of the point for me, I think, really.
Yeah. Tim Hickman, the Darlo fan and photographer, was tweeting the other day exactly what I was thinking in the week. If we beat, I don't know if ifs and ands are pots and pans, as my mum would say, but if we beat Warrington, if we beat Rushall, if we beat Oxford City twice and we draw with Brackley, we finish 7th. And there's an argument to say in each of those games that we probably should have won some of those. We probably should have held a 2-0. Someone said to me yesterday, and this would be one point I'm sure Steve will be looking to address next season, I think we've dropped 23 points in winning positions in the season. And that tells its own story, doesn't it, in terms of hanging on to a lead and resilience and all that stuff. But it is fine margins, those 4 results against teams that finished below us where we've drawn and we should have won. And as you said, Brackley, I think at 2-0, didn't we hit the post? So we went very close. If we got the 3rd goal, that would have killed them off. I think that would have killed that game off. And that's the difference between finishing 11th and 7th. So it's not, I've heard people say, we need a big overhaul for next. Do we really? I don't think we do. So yeah, it is, and it is a difficult league. You're right, Andy. It's only going to get harder.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember that Brackley game well. Sorry, Adam. I remember that Brackley game well because that's when I discovered Justin Donner had a long throw. But apparently, rumour has it broke his leg, and apparently he's working on his upper body strength in the gym, and that's how he developed the long throw.
Oh, wow.
Right.
I don't know how true that is, but it's a good story anyway.
It is a good. He's a champion triple jumper, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Is it Bermuda? Oh, I'm not
Bermuda, yeah. But
yeah,
that Brackley game was, like David said, it was crazy. 2-0 up, we looked so comfortable, and then Brackley looked like the best team in the league with like in that 20-minute spell. It was crazy. Yeah, like David said, it's all about fine margins, isn't it, David?
And we beat Kidderminster, we beat Chester, didn't we? We drew with Chorley. It's a bit like Arsenal. Our record against the teams that are up there is very, very good, but often our record against the teams in and around us or below us is a bit patchy. And I think that comes back to good footballing teams that give us space to play. We like playing against, whereas teams that get in our faces and sit, and defend and put 10 players behind the ball, sometimes we struggle against. So, yeah, it's a funny old game, isn't it? As someone once said.
It certainly is. We might just take a pause in the conversation there, fellas, and then maybe we'll get into a bit of chat about next season and what sort of areas we think we may need to strengthen it. But before then, I actually caught up with another former Quaker now living down under. It was Paul Arneson last month. So I've been chatting with Clark Keltie, who's now living in Perth, Western Australia. Clark, of course, was a midfielder in the early noughties who played for us at Feetham's, the Arena, and also had a short spell at Heritage Park as well. And I caught up with him a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to hear from Clark now, and myself, Andy and David will be right back after this. My guest on the pod today is former Darlington midfielder Clark Keltie. Clark first joined the club in 2001 and went on to spend 7 years in the heart of the Darlington midfield, becoming the club's youngest captain along the way. He later returned for separate stints in 2012, and he holds the unique distinction of representing Darlington at 3 different home grounds: Feetham's, the Arena and Heritage Park. Clark, thanks for coming on. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hi, Adam. Good to hear from you. Life is good down under, and I'm very much looking forward to taking a trip down memory lane.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, let's get into it then. So you signed for Darlington. You've been playing, I think, for Walker Central. You're 17, 18. I hear there was a bit of interest as well from Sunderland. So what made you opt for Darlington?
Yeah, so as it was back then, I was playing for Walker Central, which was a sort of an under-18s team playing on a Saturday. I was doing okay there and gained a bit of interest from Sunderland. So I went down there and trained with them. And there was a sort of rumours of a 1-year deal potentially on the table, but Darlington had showed a more serious interest, and they offered me a 3-year deal with an option of a 4th. And sort of went down, trained, and under Gary Bennett, he signed me, and I thought it felt like the right fit, and I thought I'd probably get more of a first-team opportunity than I would at Sunderland. Sort of we went from there, really.
Yeah, well, you do quickly establish yourself in the squad, and actually you become the club's youngest ever captain at just 19. I think that was Mick Tate was in charge by then. Did that sort of take you by surprise, and how did the more senior players in the squad react to that?
Yeah, that did take me by surprise. Our leader at the time and captain, Craig Little, I think he was injured or suspended for that week, and so we all just turned up as normal on match day, and Mick had Mick Tate had said, "Look, Clark, you're going to be captain today," and sort of did really take me by surprise, being that age and with a sort of very experienced changing room. But obviously a great honour and privilege to do so, and to be fair to the older lads, they really backed me in, to be honest. So it was a good day, all in all.
Fantastic. And then you joined the club at quite a bit of a turbulent time, as it was in the early noughties there. You play in the last game at Feetham's, and then you play the first game at the Arena. So I want to ask you, really, what was the mood like amongst the players about moving to a 25,000 all-seater stadium? Did anyone sort of think this is a bit mad?
It was a little surreal. I mean, we are, very much sort of League Two is nothing fancy about League Two football, but when George Reynolds had this great idea of taking us to the next level, and this exciting new stadium was, it was something refreshing, something quite new, but at the same time it did feel very surreal. But on the whole, the lads were pretty much very excited to get in and have a look and get playing, to be honest.
Yeah, and then what was the experience like playing at the arena? Because obviously the crowd sort of dip off after a short while, and was it sort of a little surreal? Yeah, playing in such a vast stadium with a small crowd at times.
It was, yeah. There was many pros and cons to it. The pros obviously being we get to turn up and play at this 28,000 seater stadium every week, but the cons were that the atmosphere wasn't always great, and when you're not playing and winning every week, or there's mixed results, and you can quite quickly feel the pressure and feel a little bit uncomfortable playing in that place.
Yeah, sure. And then I think in your last season with Darlington, Clark, we were under Dave Penny, I think, at this time, and we reached the playoff semi-finals, and we've got Rochdale, and you score a penalty in that second leg, which I think put us 3-1 up on aggregate, but Rochdale pip us back, and eventually they pip us on penalties to get to Wembley. How was the mood in the dressing room after that one? That must have been a real tough one.
Yeah, look, to be honest, that one still stings talking about it to this day. We won the first leg 2-1 at home, and then we went down there, and as I said, we got a penalty quite early on, and one which I took and scored, and it was a great personal moment, and I thought, we're really in the driving seat here. And, you have to look back on that and think it's a huge opportunity missed, but just absolutely heartbreaking at the end to lose on penalties, and the room and the mood in the changing room, as you can imagine, wasn't a very good one, no.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I guess you must have done something right, because I think the following season you signed for Rochdale, don't you? And how did that come about?
Yeah, so the year before that, Dave Penny had offered me a 2-year contract, and I was humming and hawing really on the basis of I wanted to further my career, and I sort of backed myself in, and I did want to play at a higher level than League Two. Yes, ideally it would have been with Darlington, but every footballer wants to play as high as they possibly can. So I signed a 1-year deal, and then it come towards the end of that, and sort of the rumours were that the club was under some financial strains, and sort of they'd said, look, we're probably going to move you on from there, and then quite quickly Rochdale had showed some serious interest. I went down, had a chat with Keith Hill at the time and David Flitcroft, and quickly signed on there, really.
Right, yeah, and then you almost really re-signed for the club under Steve Staunton. I think that was back in 2010. You eventually come back for separate stints in 2012. I guess they're quite unique that the club were in administration and one was in the conference, and then you come back, I think, in that first Northern League season. Can you talk us through that journey?
Yeah, so the period of time when Steve Staunton was in charge, I think it was around the Christmas time, and I was also training with Lincoln City at the time. Lincoln City was in League Two, Darlington were in the conference, and there was a lot going on in the background at Darlington. I was obviously had some contacts there, and they were saying, look, that there's a lot going on here. It's a risky one if you do come back. But I've always had a really soft spot for Darlington. It was a place I gave my debut and played a lot of games there, so I've always had this attachment to the club. But ultimately, I had to make the right footballing decision, and at the time, I thought going to Lincoln City in League Two was a better one for my career at that stage. So that's probably wrapping that period of time up. And then the time after that, when I come back, was in I think that was the conference when Craig Little had a spell in charge.
Yeah, I think Craig had come in as like a caretaker manager, I think, by then. I think, the club were in pretty dire straits at that point.
Yes, that's correct, yes. And sort of I'd been playing overseas in Iceland and come back from there. Their season was sort of overlapped with ours, and I was sort of out of contract, if you will. And Craig got in touch with me and just explained where the club was and what was happening. And to be honest, for Lids, I would have probably done anything for that guy. He's really sort of role model for me and helped me out a lot of my career. So sure. I wanted to come back mainly for him, but also to try and play some games. But not under the best circumstances, I must admit.
No, I mean, you obviously a long time, the bulk of your career spent with Darlington. You played with, obviously, a lot of players during that time, and some who've gone on to, like, quite big things. I think Casper Schmeichel, Carl Lafferty, a few of the loanees who come in. I thought I'd ask you, who do you think was one of the best players in a Darlo shirt that you played alongside during your time at the club?
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to ask that question. A lot of people have asked me that because, as you say, I've spent a lot of time at the club. And simply for just how silky he was and laid back, I'd have to say Martin Smith. That left peg of his just amazed me every time I'd see him on the training ground. He made the game just look so easy.
Yeah, I remember, I think we got him a bit later in his career, obviously Sunderland, and I think it was it Northampton Town, I think we finally got him from. Yeah, the son of Pele, I think they used to call him in Sunderland.
We call him the White Pele.
The White Pele. Yeah, he was a very silky player. I wasn't expecting that answer actually there. But no, that's a good shout, Martin Smith. Yeah. Yeah, and obviously Clark, since your career's wind down, you're obviously on this side of the world where I am as well, although you're 6 hours west, 6 hour flight west of Brisbane. You're in Perth and have been for some time. I know you were playing at some National Premier League there before sort of calling time on your career, but you've kept your eye in because you're involved with the Australian Masters team. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so the career finished up around 39, 40-ish. The opportunity then did arise to represent sort of Australia on the Masters level in a mini World Cup, which is hosted in Thailand. And I must admit, it's probably the closest you're going to get to feeling like a professional again. It's a really well-run tournament, and it's about 10 teams in it. You get to play against England and Iran and some of the Asian nations, and then this year it's going to be USA and Uruguay, and it's a real good experience, and it's nice to pull the kit back on, get the boots back on, and have a run around.
Yeah, for sure. In the gold of Australia. I mean, I guess someone had told you that at the start of your career at Darlington, you wouldn't have believed them, would you? But yeah, it's fantastic. So that's going to be later this year, is it? The Thailand, the Masters World Cup.
That's going to be end of May. And it's always good to sort of play against England. They've always got a few ex-professionals in there, and have a kick and have a run around, and it's always good to play competitive football again, and because the chances are few and far between these days.
Yeah, sure. And you're also you've got your own business now, I understand, in Perth as well. You're looking after a gym, or tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I've got a personal training business which I set up just after COVID time. So I've got a personal training studio here in Perth. So I did always enjoy the health and wellness side of things as I was playing, and sort of trying to progress my career after football. At the level that we play at, you're always going to do something afterwards. And I'm really enjoying that. And life is good in Australia, as you know yourself. The sun shines every day, and no complaints here.
So is that the fitness hub Subiaco? Have I said that right, Clark? Is that?
That's correct, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, brilliant. So if you're a Darlington fan, or you're listening to this in Perth, or you're heading to Perth and you need to, get into shape, Clark's got you covered. So that is the fitness hub Subiaco. So thank you for joining us, Clark. It's been great to have a chat about the old times, and I wish you well with Australia as well later in the year in Thailand there.
That's great, Adam. Thanks a lot, mate. It's nice chatting with you. And all the best to Dalton moving forward. I really do hope they can make their way back up the leagues and get back into the Football League.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for your time, Clark. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Big thanks to Clark there, and wishing him well with the Masters World Cup coming up, I think, in June for him. He's representing Australia, of course. He did tell me he's going to try and persuade Adrian Webster to join him on the Australia team. Adrian, someone might remember, used to play... had a season at the Arena, I think, for us. Yes, I think Adrian's living in Sydney now. So it could be an Englishman and a Kiwi in the Aussie midfield there. So I'll have to let you know on the socials how Clark gets on there for Australia. But yeah, good luck to you, Clark. So yes, guys, let's talk about next season now. So look, obviously the club at the time of recording haven't released their retained list yet. Understand Jack is contracted for another season. I don't know, I might need a bit of help here. I understand the club might have an option on Cedric as well, but I'm not quite sure what that looks like. David, I think you just said earlier, probably doesn't need major surgery, this squad, does it? I think it's a pretty solid looking squad, but what do you reckon, David, for maybe some improvements?
I think Steve said it a few times, hasn't he? We need somebody who can, and these are hard to find, who can pop 15, 20 goals in alongside, and that might be Jack Maskell next season. I don't know. I think he's I I hate to say I told you so, but I kind of kept the faith with Jack back in November when we spoke, and I said, look, I think there's something in this lad. He just needs a bit of time and more development, and I think he's proven that right. He's still very raw, but if it's not him, we need to sign one that can get the goals, that can make the changes in those games that we talked about, where we might draw, where we should win. So I think that's definitely a key area. I think the guys have used the loan market really well in the midfield, but we might need to look at strengthening the midfield if there's some comings and goings. Actually, at the back, I don't know, whether someone like Cal is thinking about what he wants to do in terms of, his stage of his career. So there might be a full-back or two that we may need to look at. But I think actually at the back, if we can keep Pete and we can keep the core of that defence, I think that's a really good, solid foundation. I hope we can keep Platty. I think he's key, and hopefully he can stay free. If we can keep the good stuff, and we can add 2 or 3 or 4 Permos and play the loan market, I don't think we're that far off that 7th, 6th spot, So I don't think it's not an overhaul job for me in the summer. I think it's tinkering. It's dealing with the contracts that we need to deal with, and it's making those additions, and then off we go, I think.
I mean, look, I'll put my hand up about Jack Maskell as well, because I think at one stage I was, I don't want to say I'd written the boy off. I mean, he's only, 20, 21, isn't he? But at one stage I was like, okay, maybe it's not going to work. Just file him under Kirk Jackson, who some people might get that reference. It was a prolific non-league striker. It didn't quite work out for him, but no, that's not been the case. I've been delighted to see Jack really hit his straps in the last month or so. But I'll maybe come to you now, Andy. I think for me, I would mention Justin Donoware a bit earlier there, but a little bit of width. Think about someone like Justin Donoware or Kevin DeSantis, Enrico Sitzer.
Wouldn't that be nice?
There. Yeah. It would be nice, wouldn't it? They all sort of had a bit of X factor. So, what about you then, Andy? What do you think?
Yeah, I echo what David says, really. I think the defence and the goalkeeper, there's not really much to do there for me. There might be some comings and goings at the back, but for me, Headley, Forbes, Barrow, and Toby Lees, they would be, a great foundation. I think we need a bit more pace in the side. We look a little bit, I don't want to say a pedestrian, but we do need, he's that flair player, like you say, who can make things happen. Obviously, those players come at a price, and probably a lot of teams want them. But for me, a bit more pace in the side, I think, and just someone who can maybe create that opening that will help, hopefully Maskell and Main. Obviously, Main finished on 11 league goals. Jack finished on 9. Again, hate to keep saying it, fine margins. You get a few more goals out of them, and before you know it, we're flying up the table. So, not a major overhaul for me. 3 or 4 really good quality signings, and then with the loan market. If you think of the players who came in last year, obviously Joe Leasley came in with a big reputation. That didn't really work out. But obviously, you look at Jack, Scotty, Elliot, and Pete. They all really worked out well. I think they were really, really good signings.
Yeah.
Get a few more of them, and we're laughing.
Yeah, David, I think it might have been after that Brackley home game. It was a post-match interview with Steve, and he talked about sort of having to rely on younger players, I think, at that point. A lot of the loan boys that came in. I think he made a very interesting point when he talked about Scunthorpe and how they didn't have a player who was under 23. What do you think? That's been a little bit of discourse about the age of the team, haven't they? Well, we've got some older players, obviously, like Scotty and Cal. What do you think? Do you think there's a bit more experience needed?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think at one point I'd say before that, I implicitly trust Steve and Terry in the transfer market. I think you nailed it there, Andy. I think Joe Leasley on paper, I think everyone agreed was a great signing, but then it just didn't happen. And these things sometimes don't happen. But everybody else that's been brought in, Permo on loan, has been really, really good. We've got a budget to work to, and that often means that we have to have, at any given point, a couple, 2 or 3 on loan from bigger clubs, their academies. They are going to be raw. Caden Kelly is a great example. He's very uber talented, but he needs to play more games at our level and more games in what Steve will call man's football to get better. So we help that, but at the same time, that comes at a price of maybe being able to buy somebody who's 27, 28, who's been there and done it, because the budget doesn't allow that. But one name we haven't mentioned that I think is a great example of that model working alongside Caden Kelly is Will Flint. You know, well, I did the poll for Player of the Season, and quite rightly I was getting pelters from some people saying, well, why isn't Will Flint in it? So, well, because the rule is they have to be a contracted player really to win Player of the Year. I think Will won Young Player, which is absolutely fair enough. But if Will had been a permanent player and had played all season, he'd have been a good shout for Player of the Season. Lone player, young lad, did really, really well. We did miss Tom Platt earlier in the season, but we didn't miss him as much because of Will Flint. So I don't mind that model if that's what the budget dictates, of some real key experience signings, but then we pepper it with good loan players from higher up until we get to the point where we have a bigger budget to play with him. We can turn those loan signings into more experienced perm signings. But until then, I think it is what it is.
Yeah, Andy, I guess we're talking about budgets, and of course the club will soon be announcing Boost the Budget for next season. We're going to rattle those buckets again, aren't we? And we never fail to disappoint, do we, Darlo fans? So I think we were just talking before there, weren't we, guys? And we said, was it just shy of £190,000 was raised, and it's become an integral part of the club, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has, and I'm sure David will speak about it in a bit more detail. But yeah, I'm sure the fans will dig deep again. You know, whatever target's set, I'm sure we'll smash it or get close to it, because that's what we do every season. And yeah, I don't know if you want to speak a bit more about that, David, because I know you're a bit closer to it than I am.
Insofar as organising the thing, yeah, but obviously no closer in terms of, you know, we own this thing, right? And we are the 90% majority shareholders. And if we were a wealthy man or woman that owned Darlington Football Club, I guarantee Darlo fans online will be saying, right, come on, Mr. or Mrs. Chairman, you need to put your money in your pocket this summer and buy some players so we can have a go. That's us. So we set, 30, 40, sometimes 50% of the player budget, depending on the size of booster budget, depending on the size of the budget. That's a huge responsibility. It's also a tremendous, wonderful thing that fans of a non-league football club in the northeast of England who are going through a cost of living crisis and may have personal circumstances that makes it difficult, put their hands in their pocket and give hundreds of pounds, some give thousands of pounds every year, just so some footballers can run around a pitch and try and win a game of football. It blows my mind every year, but there is also, if we want to own it and we want to be proud of our club and get make it as the best it possibly can be, we have to do this. And John, our chair, he wrote in the programme yesterday, obviously the aim is to get to the point where we don't do boost the budget. And I kind of agree with him, and I know what he's saying. My point would be great to get to the point where if we want to do boost the budget and the fans still own the club and we want to add to the budget, we do it, but we're not responsible for 40% of it, because the revenue streams from the ground and from that provide the bulk of the playing budget. So we still take that responsibility as owner and we still put money into the budget, but we don't have to put as much in or be responsible for as big a percentage. That would be my utopia. But yeah, we launch on Thursday. Target's going to be 180k. David in the programme notes yesterday was saying, let's get to 200 grand, and absolutely if we can, but we've got to be realistic. Times are hard and people work hard for their money. So whatever we can get, whatever we can pull together in May is fantastic. And I won't be surprised if we hit that target again. And every penny of that money, I guarantee every penny of that cash goes into the playing budget. So you are making a difference on the pitch. And the greatest example of boost the budget was January 2024. If we hadn't raised that 32, Steve said it, if we'd not raised that 32 grand, we wouldn't have bought Matty. We wouldn't have got Matty Young, Scott Barrow, Cedric Main, Matty Cornish. We wouldn't have stayed up.
100%. Yep. Sorry, Andy.
No, yeah, like just what David said. Let's all get behind the club again next season. I'm sure the fans will. I've no doubt we will. And let's look forward to another hopefully another season improvement next year, because it's just that small step, and we could be talking about the playoffs this time next year.
I mean, I saw Steve's post-match yesterday. And he talked about they've already got a very long list drawn up of potential targets. He said 30 to 40 names on there. So for me, if we're going to hand that money over to anyone, I feel it's in incredibly safe hands with Steve and Terry, who, I've talked about before, extremely canny operators who know this level inside out. And look, for me, with the injuries we've had this season, to actually finish 11th and not a million miles off the playoffs, I actually think they deserve a bit of extra credit as well for doing what we've done as well with the pitch and the sort of schedule that we've had too. Like it's not been easy, but really canny operators. And we've talked about how well they've used the loan market. When I think about some other managers we've had, that hasn't quite been the case in the past. But very confident in Steve and Cherry's ability to get us bang for buck.
Yeah, Andy and I and our board, we've met with Steve to talk about the playing budget and what can and can't be done for this season and for next season. And Andy, I'm sure you'd agree. What strikes me with Steve is he's ambitious and for himself and for the club, but he's realistic and he gets the model. Alan was the same. I give Alan his due. Alan would always say, "Look, I really appreciate boost the budget in the fans and it's the fans club." But Steve's our manager now, so to talk about the current guy, he absolutely understands and gets the model, and he's not I would never use the word reckless to describe Steve Watson in terms of his approach to anything, and especially finances and budget. So I think the club's in very, very safe hands in a number of ways with Steve. But Andy, I've been really impressed with him when we've met him, when he's talked about player acquisition and targets and whatnot, because he always comes back to the budget and what can and can't be done and what's realistic.
I think that's the main thing, is that any manager who comes in gets the model and gets what we're working to. And, some of the things that him and Terry do, the work that they do on players, I mean, literally, it sounds like they're on the phone every day trying to speak to people. So it's not easy. It's not easy for any club. Obviously, we've got South Shields and Spenny, in the division, and you're competing with them for a lot of players from the same geographical area. It's not easy. But I'm really excited and interested to see what happens in the summer with the sort of players he brings in, because I know Gateshead have had a massive turnover of players in the last sort of few months, so you wonder if there'll be a few of those lads who will be available. Obviously Will McGowan, who came back, looked absolutely. I'm a big fan of Will McGowan, so I would hope he would be one of the players that we would get. I mean, I'm not privy to any information on that, but that would be great. And even Lewis Story as well, considering he's not played a lot of football, they're the type of players you want in your side, really. They've experienced, they've done it, and the good footballers.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned our friends up the road, Hartlepool, who are having quite the time at the moment, aren't they, with our friend in charge there. Maybe there'll be a few outgoings there. They have a few ex-Darlo in their ranks. I can think of David Ferguson, Campbell, Luke Chapman, I think, might be there as well at the moment. So
Dodsey.
Sorry?
Yeah. Dodsey. He's there, isn't he?
Oh, Dan Dodds. Yes, I believe he is. Yeah, he was very good for us, Dan Dodds, wasn't he? So yeah. So who knows? Could be some interesting times ahead. We might just break off again, guys, before we get into our customary quiz. I caught up with Michael McWilliams. I know, really looking forward to that quiz, aren't we, chaps? Yeah. I caught up with Michael McWilliams a few days ago. Michael is the founder of the Harvey McWilliams Foundation, which is a charity he set up in honour of his son Harvey, who was an academy player with us here at Darlington and sadly lost him to suicide at the end of 2021. And they've got a special event coming up in a few weeks' time, which we're going to talk about now. So, myself, David and Andy will be right back after this. I'm very pleased to be joined by Michael McWilliams, who is the founder of the Harvey McWilliams Foundation, which is a charity that he set up in honour of his son Harvey, who was an academy player for us here at Darlington. And tragically Michael lost him to suicide at the end of 2021. Michael, many thanks for coming on and speaking. It's obviously unimaginable what you've gone through as a father and what you continue to. I just wondered if you could maybe tell us about Harvey, obviously a very talented footballer, and about this foundation that you've set up in honour of him.
Yeah, hello, Adam. First of all, thanks for having me on. So Harvey was from Darlington, and as a young boy, as soon as he could walk, he would be kicking a ball. So he played for numerous clubs. He started off with Paul Bilby Soccer School, went on to Darlington 21st All-Stars, where he had 11 great years there. And then he went to Blackwell Rangers roughly for about a year. And that's when Harvey, he got scouted. And he was over the moon, scouted by your hometown club, amazing. So he went there and he got into the academy. He played against Bradford Academy, he went to St George's Park, played against the likes of Lincoln, Rochdale, Arsenal, might have been Wolves, I think, at the time, to represent Darlington. So he's dead proud of doing that, Harvey. And the thing with Harvey, he was always, because people ask me what was Harvey like, and I'll just say kind, because he was. Growing up, he would give his boots away to somebody that needed them. So if Harvey was finished with a pair of boots, he would give them away. And then, because we were fortunate enough as parents to buy some more. So that was Harvey. And like you say, Harvey, after playing for Darlington, he got the necessary grades to get into university, which was based in Devon. So that was Exeter University, to study to become a sports doctor. And while he was there, he played for a team called Exeter Royals, which were known then as Exeter Panthers, because he just wanted to keep playing football, because he loved football. He was only there a short while, due to Harvey, like you say, Harvey passing away now. This will be coming up the 4th year at Christmas. Wanting something positive, really, to come out of something so tragic is it's virtually impossible, isn't it, really? But my other son, Luke, said, Dad, we need to do something in Harvey's name, group, a charity or something. So we had a little idea. Anyway, some friends on board. We've got a charity number. So we are a registered charity based here in Darlington. And what we do, part of our service is a boot library. So you'd lend a pair of boots, size whichever, say size 5, and you use them for, a season, 2-3 months. Once you outgrow them, bring them back and we'll give you another pair. So it's like essentially a library, and this is saving parents the cost, because the cost of living at the moment is very hard. It's hard for working families, let alone those that don't work. We also get a lot of kit, and this is from the general public. We'll get a lot of kit from local clubs such as Middlesbrough, Sunderland sent us a lot of stuff. Darlington been very, very good to us as well. We get a lot of kit off Darlington. And it just goes back out into the community. And when you see a little boy or a little girl leave with some boots or some socks or shin pads, it really does give us at the charity a shot of comfort, should we say, because we know Harvey's still helping. So to help these kids now. So since March last year, we've helped over 1,400 children access football, whether that's signing for a local club or whether that's just kicking the ball on the field with the dad. It's brilliant. It's just so nice to do that. Because Harvey was kind, and that's what it is, and that's what we are, which is just kindness. We just want to help as many children as possible, So it's been inspired by what Harvey did, but the idea came from Luke. A lot of people think it was my idea. It's me. It's not. I tend to be at the face of it quite a lot. Yeah, a lot of people. We do have more than me. There's about 4 trustees, but but everybody works, but they do their bits. Luke tends to sit in the background a little bit, but Luke's done the best job. He's come up with the idea, and I'm so glad he did, because we're changing. We're changing the communities. We've created a whole girls' team near Crook. We've created a team in Harrogate. Various 5-a-side teams with kit we've been sent from all over. We had a load of kit. I forgot where it's from there. We had a lot of kit from down south. It might have been Torquay, I think. Just training kit. But to see these lads who've got nothing in a full kit playing in the league is great. It's what they want. So we are, and we're reaching out to people now. There's people coming down from Gateshead way, up from York, Thirsk. But our base is Darlington and surrounding. Yeah, and so we're helping lots of people. And they've gone on to play for different clubs. As a girl's been scouted by Durham City because she got a pair of boots off us. Gone to Hartlepool College. onto Durham City. So there's a lot of little success stories, and it's just nice. It's just nice to help, give something back, kind.
Yeah, there might have been a collection before a recent Darlington match, maybe a few weeks ago. I was reading. I don't know if you can maybe share a little bit about that. You said Darlington obviously have been very helpful as well towards the foundation.
Yeah, Darlin are very good. They share a lot of our social media posts, and anything we need, they can try and help with and share and stuff. And occasionally we do get invited down to the ground on a match day, a home game. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. They were home to Farsley Celtic.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, last year was actually Farsley Celtic. But so we went down, and we brought like a stand-up banner thing, some information cards, some sweets for the kids, an example of what we do. So what we bring a pair of boots, and the pair of boots we brought are Harvey's boots. So these boots are for show, okay? And we show them the boots, we show them a pair of shin pads, gloves, except that kind of thing. Say, this is what you can get from us, and it's all free. There's no charge at all. If you want to make a donation, we'll happily take a donation, but there's no pressure to. So if you want to come and get some gloves, socks, shin pads, and we have loads of kit, it might be your local teams. It could be just like Joma kit, different sort of brands, Nike and things, yeah. But the Darlington thing itself, yes, a lot of people did bring donations. Some people put money in the pot, great. A lot of people bought bags of boots. So luckily we brought the van because we had a lot of bags. So there's a lot of boots to check and clean. A lot of kit as well. Some goalkeeping gloves, which are really nice as well, because we do get a lot of goalie gloves as well. Some adult ones as well. Even though we do help children get into football, we do help a lot of young adults as well. Because Harvey always said football should be for everyone, Dad, not just for those who can afford it. And he's right. Why should kids miss out because they've got no money? It's wrong. It's wrong.
Absolutely, yeah. That's spot on. It's a fabulous idea, Michael, I've got to say. And you've got a special event coming up at the end of next month at May. So I believe you're undertaking a pretty long walk. So do you want to just tell us about that?
Yeah, so every year we do an event called For Harvey, our own charity event. So this year we're going to be walking between the last two clubs that Harvey played for. So we're going to be walking between Darlington FC, and we're going to be walking all the way down to Exeter Royals in Devon, which is a total of, I think it was 356 miles. It's going to be very... It is, yeah. So, and we're starting on Sunday the 25th of May, and we want in the general public, we want in friends, people. A lot of people have confirmed, to meet us at 9:00 at Blackwell Meadows, just in the car park. We've got Look North come in, we've got the Echo, we've got a lot of friends come in. Come and join us, come and see who we are, come and say hello, and if you don't already know us, and walk out with us. Leave Darlington with us. Walk a mile or two if you can, or just up the road. Yeah. So, and we've got friends that are going to walk so far. So we'll be heading towards sort of Harrogate on the first day, and then obviously down to Leeds and things. Wow. So that's our event for this year. So on our page there's a GoFundMe link, which gives you the bio, which tells you a bit more about the walk, a little bit more about Harvey, and an option to donate if you can. If not, if you could copy and just share the post on your social media pages, I'd appreciate it if people for Darlington could do that for us. Yeah. But it's a big task to do, but there's 6 of us doing it. And it'll be like 2 teams of 3 or 3 teams of 2, whilst walking 24 hours a day with a motorhome supporting us.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so I think, have you allowed yourself about a week, is it, to complete the journey in its entirety? It's,
we have, yes. It is, yeah. It ends on Saturday the 31st of May at 12 o'clock. Because I believe Exeter Royals were putting on a charity match for us or something. So, I think we've worked it out. We should do it in 5.5, 6, but you have to give time for, nothing goes to plan, does it, should we say? Sure. So, but we'll get there. We'll get there, yeah. Looking forward to it, but, it's going to be very tough, I think, physically and emotionally.
Sure.
We're going to be walking past places where Harvey used to study and live and play and things. But But look, it's something I've always wanted to do since we've got a charity number, and logistically we've managed to do it. So we're all nearly more or less set to go.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, I wish you all the very best to everyone who's involved in that. And you did mention if people do want to jump on board and make a donation, certainly we'll share any links on our socials as well. But where's the best place to find you?
So the best place at the moment, because the website's still being built, the best place to get us, a lot of our communication does go through our Facebook page. So just search the Harvey McWilliams Foundation, and now and again, and if you scroll through, or if you just search McWilliams GoFundMe, you'll find a link there, and that which will give you more information or to share. So yeah, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely do that. And wishing you all the best with this, and obviously beyond with all the efforts for the charity. Yeah, fabulous idea. And Michael, I wish you all the very best going forward with it all.
That's great, Adam. Thank you very much. Nice speaking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye for now. Oh, what?
Hey,
so, be a lot of media.
Yeah, thank you to Michael there for taking the time to chat, and wishing everyone all the very best with that walk for Harvey that's taking place from Blackwell Meadows all the way down to Exeter. I will put a link for the GoFundMe in the podcast description, and I'll share that on the socials as well. So yeah, wishing them all the very best on that. I think it's like 380 miles or something. Yeah, it's a long old way. So yeah, all the best to everyone taking part with that. A quiz, gents. So all I've told you that it's going to be related to one of our seasons at Heritage Park. So I did mention there with the interview with Clark that Clark did play a few games for us in that Northern League season. So the 2012-2013 season, of course, Darlington, the Northern League champions that year. What the question is, there were 12 players in that squad who scored at least 2 goals in that season. Okay, so there are 12 players who scored at least 2 goals, 2 or more, in that season. Your job is to try and name as many as you can. How I'm going to do this is I might come to Andy first. So Andy, you'll give me a number between 1 and 12. And then David, you can either try and top that and have a go, or you can say, go on, Andy, go for it. So yeah, 12 players in that Northern League Championship season, Andy, who got at least 2 goals. How many do you think you can name?
I'll go 8.
Oh, he's gone 8. He's gone quite big there. David, what do you reckon? Do you think you've got 9 in you, or are you going to say, go on, Andy, name me 8?
I was hoping he was going to say 4, because I was going to say about 5, so he's thrown me there.
Yeah.
Let's see how he gets on.
All
and
right.
I'll try and cover some gaps if he's struggling.
Yeah. All right, Andy. So 8 players from that Northern League squad scored at least twice. Over to you.
David Dowson.
David Dowson got 18 goals that season. You're off and running.
Sean Ray.
Oh, good shout with Sean Ray. Yeah, I'll be honest, when I looked this up, I'd forgotten about Sean. I think he was a YTS player, wasn't he, when we were a Football League club? Yeah, he got 11 goals. Sean Ray. Yeah.
Okay. Gary Brown.
Gary Brown, he scored twice. Yep, 2 goals.
Oh,
yeah.
By the skin of my teeth. Chris Ems.
Chris Ems, yeah, he got 12 goals for us that season. You're halfway there,
wow.
Andy. Solid start.
Oh, okay. Terry Galbraith.
Terry Galbraith, he got 10.
Oh.
3 more to go.
Wowzer.
Flying, yeah.
Stephen Thompson.
Yeah, Tomo, of course, 19 goals. I think he joined us about a month into the season, didn't he? He wasn't with us right from the start.
Yeah, he came later on, didn't he? Yeah.
He did, from Durham City.
I think there's one real obvious one, Andy, I think that you're missing so far.
Stevie Johnson.
Stevie Johnson, one of our own. 15 goals. I think a lot of them were coming off the bench as well.
From the bench,
1,
yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just need one more name, Andy, and you've done this.
I'm going to say Leon Scott.
Leon Scott, will do it for you. 10
get in.
league goals for Leon Scott. So there you go. I mean, there's still 4 more names on there, Andy, if you want to keep going.
David, I'm going to put it over to David now.
I would assume our Purewall scored more than.
He was our top scorer with 24.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. There's 3 more to get.
Man, I don't think Ellison was with us that long, was he? To score twice. Who else do we have? Like Clark and he was really like 39-40-year-old lad up front.
Jamie Clark.
Did he score for us?
I don't think he scored.
He is not on this list now, so he might have scored 1, but he certainly didn't score more than 1.
Sorry to chip in, David. I'm not going to do my Coldplay impression, but Stephen Harrison one of them?
Paradise.
Yeah.
3 goals, yes, you got it. So there's 2 to get.
Well done.
So we've got 2 left.
Hunter wouldn't have been one, would he?
What about the lad who we had who went to Spennymoor? Was Joe Tate one of them?
Tate, yeah.
Joe Tate is not on this list, no.
Jean Purewall wasn't with us long. Craig Gott?
Yes, Craig Gott. He got 3 goals. Craig Gott.
Oh.
Yeah.
One more,
Good
guys,
player.
and we've got this.
One left.
Adam Nicholson?
Adam Nichols, sorry.
Yes.
Oh,
was that it?
Adam Nichols.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, that was the last one we were looking for. The last piece in the jigsaw, Adam Nichols, who got 8 goals for us that season. So well done, chaps, between the 2 of you.
I think well done, Andy. I think.
Yeah, Andy was doing a lot of the heavy lifting, wasn't he?
Yeah,
so,
I think he shielded it. I think.
I mean, it's an amazing stat when you see the amount of goals in that team that season. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
What a season! I always say it was a bit of a shame that we didn't get to enter the FA Vars. I know Martin Gray had a pretty poor record when it came to cup competitions, but surely that team would have gone deep in the Vars, wouldn't they? And would have become a good answer. I don't think the club's ever won the Vars and the trophy, but yeah.
Spennymoor, mate.
Oh, they might. Let's hope they don't.
Yeah.
No, any Spenny fans are listening. Not that I expect any are, but I don't mean it like that. Well, yeah, maybe I do. Yeah. What are your memories of that Northern League season, chaps? Anything stick out for you there? Maybe come to you, David.
I absolutely adored it because no matter what level you're at, if you're watching a winning team, it's amazing. And 100 plus points, 100 plus goals. I'd be absolutely honest, hand on heart, I was thoroughly sick of the arena. I was thoroughly sick of the regime that we've been playing under for a few years. I was getting a bit jaded with it, if I was perfectly honest. And I know it was a terrible thing what happened to the club, and I'm not saying that at all. But as a fan, it gave me a lovely boot up the backside. And loads of it, because I live in Teesside, loads of away games were nearer to me than home games. So I went to so many games that season. Just clearly can't remember anybody who scored. So I have massive fond memories of that season. And will be, forever indebted to that manager and those players and the guys and girls who, got the club back on its feet at that time. The first throes of fan ownership. Without any of that, we wouldn't be here. So yeah, huge fond memories. I cannot believe it's that long ago now.
Yeah. Well, what about you then, Andy? Anything stick out?
James David, really. I think for me, it probably gave me a bit of a. Kind of reignited the love a little bit because I think with the arena, and I think I think it was the season where we were third and went on administration on the night of a evening game, and I was the following day, and then it just all seemed to fall apart from there. And yeah, it brought me close to the club brought me closer as a fan of the club, I think, as well, and a lot of other people as well who've all been on this journey. So yeah, fond memories of the Northern League, and. Yeah, it was nice. I remember on Boxing Day rocking up to Norton at like half 10 for a 10:30 kickoff on Boxing Day. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, yeah. I think Tomo.
That's not work or something.
Yeah, I think Tomo there was another Tomo masterclass in that game. I seem to remember we were 2-1 down with I don't know if you remember that, David.
I do. I remember being charged inflated prices to get in and for the programme, and being told by club officials, if you don't like it, don't come in.
It was. I mean, there was. I mean, some great clubs and great characters, and obviously, you gotta love non-league football sometimes. The stories that come out.
Yeah, brilliant. That seems like a pretty good place to maybe leave it for today, guys. So yeah, thanks for your company. It's gone really quick. Really enjoyed that. So big thanks to Andy. And a big thanks to David, and obviously thank you to you, listener, not just for this episode, but throughout the course of this podcast since it started back in November. No concrete plans for next season as yet, but yeah, fingers crossed. But we'll still
come
be
on,
going.
get it done. Yeah,
I think we'll be here. So thanks to everyone who's downloaded, and to everyone who's appeared on the podcast as well. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it from the other side of the world. It's
well done, Adam. Yeah, brilliant work. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, mate. Thanks. So I'll leave it there. So we'll look at the retained list and see what news comes out of the clubs in the next few weeks. And it could be an interesting time ahead. So yeah, thank you.
Cheers, Adam.